Hi, I'm Ginny Giles, President and Founder of Community Equipped.
Hi, I'm Heather Moreland, Consultant with Community Equipped.
In this video, we're going to talk about the purpose and goal of special events, aligning your event with your organization's mission and vision, lead time for event planning, the board's role in special events, and finally, sponsorships. Special events are one of the best ways to engage a new audience and bring people in to experience your mission and build excitement about the work that you're doing and the impact you're having on your community. So when we think about the purpose and the goal of special events, we want to think about it in a couple ways. One, yes, we want to be careful that we're not losing money. Our goal is to raise money. But that might be secondary to introducing new audience members to your work. So when you're thinking about designing a brand new special event, think about the experience that you are giving to attendees. How are they being introduced to the work that you're doing? Are they having an opportunity to really engage in your mission and to get excited about it? Not just because you have some folks up on the stage sharing your story, but is the whole event designed to share the excitement and the impact of the work that you are doing? So in the first few years of your fundraising program, if you are building your donor pool, special events are one of the best ways to build this donor pool. But keep in mind that this may mean you're not raising a ton of money at the event, but rather the primary purpose and goal of your event is to grow your audience. And doing that in person is incredibly effective. So again, the first few years of a special event may not raise a lot of money. In fact, it may be a financial loss. So as you're planning your event, evaluate that potential and consider the potential for financial loss paired with the very large amount of staff time that it takes to operate an event. So you might consider doing some smaller events, maybe an open house or some happy hours, but doing something on a smaller scale is going to be the way to start.
Now let's talk about an important aspect of special events: aligning your event with your organization's mission and vision. It's essential for your special event to create an environment for guests to experience your mission, not just hear about it. They should leave with a clear understanding of your organization's mission and feel personally connected to your vision. Attending an event is one of the best ways to introduce your organization to new supporters. It's an opportunity to get them excited about your work in a way that won't happen through an appeal letter or email. Take full advantage of this opportunity by infusing the entire event with your mission and values. When your guests feel connected and inspired by your organization, you're creating long-term donors and advocates.
So the idea of incorporating your mission into your special event can be a little bit of an abstract idea. So we're going to provide you with two examples. The first one is a really strong example that was incredibly successful, and the second one, maybe not so much. So for our first example, it was an organization that needed to raise funds for an after-school program. So we thought about who are the audience, who are the donors that we want to engage for this program, and we thought parents. Parents in their 30s and 40s are most likely to start giving, and we're going to be able to retain them for donors for a long time. So let's throw an event for their children. So we decided to do an obstacle run, sort of like the Muddy Run or Spartan Run for kids. So we had a number of corporations design, build, implement, staff, and do all of the work required to provide each obstacle on this run. That was a wonderful way to engage these corporations as sponsors because most of them also provided a financial sponsorship. And many of their staff also became donors because they had such a good time at the event. So it was a fun event. We engaged the parents, we engaged the children, we engaged the business community, And it was a long-running event that continued to raise money, very important, and grow the audience for that organization. So the example that maybe isn't so great is an organization that served people with different mental and physical abilities. So they had a long-running golf outing. Now, golf definitely has physical limitations. It's also a sport or activity that has traditionally been for people with a higher income. So there was a limited number of people that were able to participate in the event. So it didn't fit with the organization's mission. The people and individuals and families that were being served by the organization weren't able to attend. Typically, people who had not grown up playing golf and didn't have the resources to engage in that sport weren't able to attend. So it really limited who was able to participate, and it even limited who could sponsor.
Planning a special event takes longer than you think. It's important to give yourself enough time to plan thoroughly and execute successfully. Create a visual timeline that you can follow to help guide you through your planning process. Start small. If you're just getting started, it's wise to start with a smaller event, like a community picnic for about 35 people or less. That will make it more manageable for your organization. It's important to remember that every event has a cost, whether it be venue fees, staff time, or materials. Be transparent with your team about these costs and look for ways to minimize direct expenses, like accepting in-kind donations, engaging volunteer support, and most importantly, sponsorship.
The board plays a huge role in the success of any special event for the organization. The board plays actually a dual role for every special event. The first one is in their governing role, and then the second one is actually as a volunteer and being a good worker bee. In their governing role, the board is going to help set the tone for the event. They're going to leverage their network to help secure sponsorships. They're going to invite people to attend the event. Often board members will purchase a table if it's a luncheon or some sort of event that has a table, and they will invite a bunch of guests to come. This is a wonderful way to introduce people to the organization. The board's network of business contacts are the most likely potential sponsors for the organization. So even if the board is not reaching out to sponsorships on their own, providing contact information and introductions is incredibly powerful, and it is the way to get sponsorships. It's also absolutely important that every board member is an encourager, a cheerleader, and supporter of the staff who are implementing the event. Hosting a special event is a ton of work, and I know from doing it that everyone is looking to criticize you. Everyone has ideas on how to do it better, of what could be different, and those ideas are not to be shared on the day of the event after the staff member has just put their all into hosting it. Your feedback is incredibly important, but either provide it at the very beginning or several days after the event is over and the staff members have had time to recover, because hosting an event is absolutely exhausting. But your encouragement, your participation, leveraging your network, inviting people is absolutely critical, and it will be a huge motivator and very exciting for the staff to see your involvement.
Let's talk about sponsorships. The primary source of revenue for an event comes from sponsorships. The important thing to remember is that you must have a strategy and plan the right approach to secure funding. Reach out early. Most companies have a fiscal year, so the earlier you reach out to a company or a potential sponsor, the more likely you are to receive a sponsorship. It's important to identify the right person to contact in a company. Look for titles like community engagement or marketing office. That's the place where you want to send your sponsorship packet. The absolute best way to connect with a potential sponsor is by leveraging your network and using personal connections. This is an ideal place for your board to step in and begin reaching out to their contacts. Sponsors generally prefer that their funding goes towards programs rather than covering the cost of the fundraising event. So it's good practice to let them know what percentage of their sponsorship goes directly back to the organization and isn't just paying for the cost of the venue or meals. Many sponsors will want to know how much of their sponsorship is tax deductible. It's important to know this and provide a tax receipt. Here are some sponsorship leads for you to consider. Industry connections. If your organization is preparing people to enter a specific industry, it can be important to invite that industry to be a sponsor for your event. It allows that company to potentially connect with their future workforce. Another lead are your vendors. People you're already doing business with. They know your organization and they are typically connected with what you do. It's good practice to reach out and ask them to sponsor and attend your event. Regional businesses are typically a great resource for sponsorship. Regional businesses or corporations are typically more invested in the region and the community than national companies that receive a flood of requests for sponsorship. With a well-planned sponsorship strategy, you can secure funding for your organization while creating long-term partnerships with businesses that will support your mission. With a well-planned sponsorship strategy, you can secure funding for your organization while creating long-term partnerships with organizations that will support your mission.
So we've discussed today some of the critical elements of a successful fundraising event and making sure that it aligns with your mission and engaging people in the exciting work that you're doing.